Hello, everybody. Welcome to Good Tips for Hard Times, where we find smart people who have great advice to help you get through your days. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Anita Sarkeesian. I'm a media critic, public speaker, and the executive director of the Games and Online Harassment Hotline, which is a new emotional support service for service. Yeah, it is a service. It's a resource service. It's all kinds of things for people who make and play games. So every week we bring on different folks, talk about a whole wide variety of things. And this week I'm excited to have my friend Bijan Stevens here. Or Stephen. Oh boy, sorry, buddy. He writes about Twitch and live streaming culture for The Verge. He's also a music critic at The Nation, a tabletop role-playing game podcaster on Fun City, a host of Super Late at 368, and a variety streamer in his spare time. Previously, he was a culture correspondent on Vice News Tonight on HBO and an editor at The New Republic. Hey, Bijan, thanks so much for joining us.
Wow, you read exactly what I wrote.
I did.
Thank you for doing that. It didn't even sound that awkward.
It was a lot of things. I feel like, stop doing so many things.
No, I would honestly. I'm literally after the stream about to take a vacation.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
I did not say what we were talking about today, but I'm assuming people who are watching us know. I'm extremely tired, so therefore I'm forgetting things, and that's just how this is going to go today. It's going to be great. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's in the stream title. Like I think we all know why we're here.
We know why we're here. We're here to just hang out with us and our fun minds. We're gonna talk about charity streaming. I think that there's a lot of folks in our audience and in our communities that do streaming, and some of them all of a sudden became very interested in how to do charity streams. As a charity, we love when people stream for us, and so I thought maybe we could have you on and talk about it, since you and I have both recently done a couple of these streams, and yours was incredibly good and incredibly successful. And also, you just wrote an article on The Verge for how to do a charity stream as well. So we're going to dive into some of that, and we will share that link in the chat and the show notes and all of that as well for folks to be able to check that out. So, yeah, thanks for being on with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm extremely glad to be here. It's always good to hang out. So charity streaming is cool. Also, you helped me with the charity stream.
That's true. I just didn't think I didn't think I should just be here talking to myself about charity streaming. So, it's fine.
I mean, yeah, you could do it yourself, but I'm glad you decided to ask me to do this. Anyway, yeah, charity streaming is great. It is one of the things that I have sort of recently come to, only because Twitch streaming is like something I only recently started taking seriously as as a thing that I do in my spare time, even though I report on it for work. And it's interesting because like charity streaming is one of those things where you're marshaling your energy in support of others, but it's in this it feels weirdly intangible while you're doing it, but then when you're done, the result is like visible, which is a long way of saying it's like a thing you can do for other people that actually helps, because guess what, a lot of problems can be solved with money, most of them in fact, and I think I don't know, so what do you
yes
I'm done.
Let me jump in here.
My brain is done.
It's fine. We both before we hopped on, we both were like, oh wait, what is life today? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So sorry. Thank you for joining us and being here with our wackiness, but I'm happy to guide this conversation. So I think that your point is really good here in terms of like, especially in these moments, like, with Black liberation movements, with being stuck at home, with COVID, all of the issues coming up around living through a global epidemic. In the game space, we are seeing an enormous amount of folks coming forward about abuse allegations. There's a lot happening, and there's a lot of ways that folks can... There's a lot of organizations that exist to support people in these moments, right? And so those organizations generally need money to function and to pay their staff, to put on their programs and all of that kind of stuff. So charity streaming is a way for folks to come in and say, like, hey, our community cares about these issues. Let's put some money into this. And charity streaming is very much like a telethon, which is very old school. Like it comes from this this history of like communities coming together to support the organizations that do the work. So
yeah.
So let's talk.
I'm just glad.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm glad like we're in this moment. Like there's a I'm actually very glad for everything that's happening, which feels like it feels like a weird thing to say, but like it feels as though things are actually changing, which is I mean again like this is why all these organizations need money, but it's also I'm glad that all of them have a lot of visibility now, and we're talking like we're talking about BLM and or Black Lives Matter, and it's like I don't know. I walked by the Brooklyn Museum the other day, and it's just like on the fucking I guess the library, the Brooklyn Public Library, and it's just like on the initials just on the fucking thing, and it's like yeah, hell yeah, it's become like toxic to not support these movements in this way, and it's I love that. Like that's how you know like real change is sort of coming or like is happening. But yeah, charity streaming is one way to help that stuff move forward. Anyway, Anita.
And I know that we like everyone's like it's really hard right now, hard times, like a lot's happening, it's intense, but like this is good. Like
yes.
the like revolutionary spirit that is happening right now, I think is actually a really good thing. And I think we're seeing that across different activist movements, and that is really, really special. And so again, not to get into, I'm just going to like caveat the whole, like, there's a whole thing about the nonprofit industrial complex and blah, 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 blah.
Yes,
but
yes,
like
yes,
putting
yes,
that
yes.
aside, I will say that there are a lot of organizations that, if you don't know how else to help, give money to or raise money for, and let them do the work that they know how to do while you do your own education and learning about the history of these movements and your roles in them and that sort of thing. So, so let's just start with this. So there are people who might already have a streaming, there are two people. There are people who want to do a charity stream and have never streamed before. And then there's people who already stream and want to integrate an event into their streams, or a charity into a fundraising component into their streams. What like can you talk a little bit about like what it means to go from just like your regular average occasional streaming into doing an event like this?
Yeah, I think it's my friend called I can't get this out of my head. My friend Rob, who helped produce my stream, called it a dumbass superpower. And it's like the superpower is getting people's attention on a thing that you're raising money for. But like as an everyday sort of streamer, or like as a regular streamer, I think charity streams are actually a lot easier to do than you think. It can be as simple as just dropping a few chat commands into like setting up some chat commands in Nightbot or whatever, or like you can get very complicated and like set up donation thermometers and guests and stuff. But like I think the main thing is just making it feel like an event. Or like I've seen some friends just do like an ongoing thing where it's like, yeah, just if you type in a chat command, you'll be able to you see these resources that I'm specifically supporting, and do it like ongoing. But I think for what we're talking about, charity streaming is a discrete sort of thing that you do. And I think for regular streamers, again, like the bar is not, it's pretty low. Like you can just do it, but you have to decide to do it, and that's a whole other can of fucking worms.
Yeah, so I think it's important to know that we're going to talk about a variety of different pieces that go into this, and like the scope of it can be as big or small as you want it to be. And so like you like what Bij was saying, you could just drop a chat command into your regular stream and encourage people to donate, or you can do a big event. And so like what does it look like to do it as an event? Like what does it mean? What does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it means a lot of things. There's a lot of different pieces, a lot of things to consider. I think basically, like, doing it as an event means that you like block off time to work on it in your free time, which is not something. I mean, I feel like not a lot of streamers do this necessarily. You know what I mean? It's like you have to make it feel special, so it does take some lead up. But I think, like there are some pieces which are obviously figuring out how you're going to do donations, because that's very difficult sometimes. There is the part where it's like, okay, who do you have on? Are you going to have guests on? How long is it going to be? There's a bunch of considerations to get through. And I don't know. I think there are some best practices. I'm scrolling through my piece right now that I wrote, because I was like, oh shit, I didn't know this was going up today. What did I write?
And we can go through each of those pieces individually now, but
basically making it feel like an event is the main thing. And I think to do that, you like do some branding and some promotion, and like the basics of hosting like a like event planning, I guess, is the thing that I'm talking about. People do this for money, but now it's online and you can do it from your own home.
So let's start with the money bit, I think, because I think that might be the big difference between a regular streaming and not is literally asking for money. And there are a number of ways that you can manage money, and we encourage you to be mindful about that.
Yes.
Do you want to go through some of the like different ways that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think there are three main ways to do this, to collect donations. One is the easiest way is to just use something like Tiltify, or Streamlabs, which just plugs directly into your stream. You can do overlays and stuff. You can do thermometers. You can do everything just there, and it's like very simple. The drawback is that they take 5% of whatever you raise, because as like a platform technology fee, which kind of sucks. I mean, just because like depending on how much money you raise, that can be a lot of money. The second way is obviously, like, this is the way that I did, is collecting receipts. So you can ask people to sort of like donate and then share their receipts, and then you can verify them and, make the thermometer go up yourself. The other way is the hardest way to do this is to collect donations yourself and then donate them to a charity. And that, like, it's difficult in a number of ways. One of them being it will fuck up your taxes, because that all counts as income. It's not tax deductible. And you're also accountable. You can't Sean King it. You can't just grift the people that you're raising money for and from. So those are I think those are the three main ways to do it. Like, and you can do, obviously, like, do what feels best. I prefer the receipts way, just because a lot of organizations that you might want to support aren't on these platforms like Tiltify, and like that, it makes it harder to figure out, okay, like, how am I going to raise money for them? That was actually a significant part of like planning the charity stream that I did. We're trying to figure out like who to donate to, and then who to direct donations to, and then how to actually get it done. And it turned out this was the easiest way. And also, like, as a bonus, if you want to do something for like a local mutual aid fund, which I might be doing sometime in the next month, this is a good way to do it. Collect receipts, have people donate directly.
Nice. Yeah. Can I just want to expand on a couple of those if
go ahead.
if I can. So Tiltify is a fundraising platform, and Tiltify has a pretty extensive process to get nonprofits onto their platform. And so, like, you can't just do it overnight, for example. They have to approve the nonprofit, then you have to go through a whole sales pitch with them. It's a thing. But it is a platform that a lot of streamers use, and it allows you to integrate into your stream direct donations. So that is a benefit of it. Feminist Frequency will be on there very soon, just in case anyone wants to stream for us. The other thing, though, is what was I going to say? One other way that you can do it. So I think just to elaborate a little bit on your points, you were talking about collecting receipts. So as the streamer, you're collecting receipts so that you know how much your audience and your stream has raised, right?
Yes.
Right? That's the purpose of, and the way that works is that you say, hey, email us your receipts, or fill out this form with your receipt, and we'll update our numbers from that. So you're going directly to the guest is going directly to the website of the nonprofit.
Yes, exactly.
Another thing you could do, and I don't know if anyone has done this, but just again, as like the charity perspective, is you could just ask us for our PayPal email address, and you can integrate PayPal donations into, like, if you use Streamlabs or something like that. So that's another way that it can go directly into the nonprofit. Now, that means that we're not really collecting any data or any information, but it would go straight to us. Without having to be the middle person between the charity and otherwise. So I think there's probably some creative ways that you can do it. You can also reach out to the charity and talk to them ahead if you plan it early enough about the ways that they might take donations. Like, so for example, you might just direct people to the donate page, like you were saying, like that with the receipts. Yeah. The last thing I want to say about the money thing too is that, like, if you are going through to collecting the money yourself through something like Give Lively or Give Butter or these other sites, like the people who are donating do not get a tax write-off on their donations, because they're giving money to you, a human, yes. An individual who is not a 501c3, and then you are donating and you get the tax write-off as applicable under laws and blah, 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 blah. So you have to claim all of that money as income and as a donation.
Yes.
It's like, this is like old school days when people first started running Kickstarters and didn't realize that that was all taxable income and going like, oh no, what do we do with this? So sorry, I just wanted to like expand on those individual points a little bit to give people more clarity around it. And if you have specific questions, please drop them in the chat.
We actually did get one question from Team Toad House. Do you think 24-hour charity streams are better or worse? What are your thoughts on massive days-long ones? I don't know. I think, Anita, I'm sure you have opinions about this. I think I kind of like just like the discrete event. Like I think 24-hour streams are great. They're like a lot of people do them. They are really difficult to do, and I don't know that you get like sort of I don't think I think the payoff is a little different, like I guess emotionally and sort of financially. I sort of like, I don't know. I like the event model where it's like, if you miss it, you miss it, but we did something here. And I don't know. I think it's a matter of preference, but also doing a 24-hour stream is hell on your body. It's just bad for you. Don't do it.
We at Feminist Frequency did a 24-hour stream for I don't know why my camera just went out. Whatever technology. Oh. Hello, there we go. We did a 24-hour stream once with Feminist Frequency. It was me and Carolyn Pettit and then a bunch of guests, and it was in person, which made a huge difference because we were all in the same room, and our guests would just like come into the room. It wasn't all of it. We will get into some of the tech involving bringing guests in digitally or virtually. There was a point in the very last hour where Carolyn fell asleep playing a game. Like it is really brutal to do a 24-hour stream, but that is also, I think, part of the appeal of those streams and a part of the appeal of watching people like suffer. I don't know why we like watching people suffer, but we do, and it gets people excited. So I don't think you have to do a 24-hour stream at all. Yeah. I think that it is a very deliberate choice and that there are moments in which that could be a benefit. The other piece of like the charity streaming bit is you want to encourage people to donate, and people want to watch you suffer. So like you can do things like at this point, like at this dollar amount, I will like write on my face with a Sharpie, or I will like dress up like a whatever, or I'll sing this dumb song or do this dumb dance to encourage people to donate. And that may be in a 24-hour stream, but that may just be in your event size stream that you're having because people just want to watch you suffer and humiliate yourself for money, you know?
Yeah, that is really the core of charity streaming, is humiliating yourself for money.
I mean, is it not? Is it?
Well, I feel like my stream was pretty decent to everyone who was participating.
It's true. I think that is a strategy that people take, and there are sites like Tiltify allow you to integrate that technologically into the system so that everyone can see where you're at. But you can also do that old school wise, right? You can just like count down to like, you know, at $1,000, I'm gonna do this thing, or I'm gonna sing this song, or what have you.
Yeah,
and it's a way it's a way to get the audience engaged, to build those milestones and get them excited to like get there, right?
Yeah, and I think that is the main thing, is like making it feel like an event for your audience, because like it should be a very. Lincoln says there's also a sense of camaraderie and mutual exhaustion, which is true, but I think like making it feel as though like making it feel like a discrete thing that's separate from your normal thing is the most important thing. And like whether that's a 24-hour stream or, as Casey says, 12 hours Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Whew.
It's a lot.
That's a lot of time to be on camera, my friend. Yeah, it's like I think the main thing is making your audience feel like this is a special thing. So like we did like a 5.5-hour stream, which felt like it actually felt really short doing it, but I don't think I could have gone any longer at the same time.
Yeah, totally. Well, so let's talk about, we're talking about charity streaming in this digital COVID age, right? This isn't like people getting together in a room. And so yes. I know that you and I had these conversations for both of our streams in terms of like, what are we going to do on the stream and how does the tech allow that to happen? So what I was saying when we did the 24-hour stream, we were playing video games the whole time, but we had a bunch of people in a room playing video games. It is a lot harder to get a bunch of people to play video games together virtually. So I think that we've gotten creative around what we're doing on camera with our our friends and our guests. So do you want to talk a bit about like how to get guests on and like what guests are doing, how the tech around like literally physically how to guests show up on your stream?
Yeah, that part was really hard. Shouts to Rob who like I think was working 3 different Zoom accounts to make it work on my stream. So we shuffled people into like cascading Zoom rooms. So like every single block we would jump into a new, like me and my co-host would jump into a new room, which was set up in advance, and like the guests would be waiting there. But doing it virtually is really difficult because like on the one hand, all you need is like Discord, Skype, which is what we're talking about right now, or like some other chat video service. And like, but on the other hand, that is also the technology that you have to use. And it's like that stuff is really fucky when it comes to like streaming software. Like I couldn't get Skype to work, for example. And playing video games is even harder if you're not playing like a game that's like multiplayer online. It's like very difficult to get the technology to work. So like we chose Hey Robot, which like there is a nice website for created by the game designer Frank Lance. Shouts to him. And you can like it allows you to play the game remotely. We tried Jackbox, which is like a feature of charity streams, I think. Everybody loves Jackbox. It's easy to play. You don't really need any hardware, except we didn't do it because the game wouldn't run right. Like it was like sloppy and sort of like framey, and it's like, how? Okay, we can't do that. Like what else are we supposed to do?
I just want to say that we played Jackbox and it worked just fine. So just
I was like, Rob, you know how to speak to computers. I do not. And he was like, it's not going to work. And I was like, it's not going to work.
Yeah. It can get really complicated. So it did work for us, but like in other moments it might not have, and we got really lucky. So shout out to the Desert Bus folks who do charity streaming every year and helped with the Feminist Frequency stream, and also like I think you talked to them as well for some advice around they know their shit and are really good at this stuff. Yeah. We like for our stream, we use Skype. Y'all use Zoom. It just depends on what your interface is and how you're using it. The reasons that we used those is because, like, for example, Skype has this thing called NDI, which is what I'm using right now that allows us to look all pretty side by side instead of just the default visuals. And I'm running this through an app that lays us out side by side as opposed to just like the weird Skype coming in and out kind of thing. So like something like Hangouts, Google Hangouts or Google Meet isn't going to work for this type of for that type of stream with the kind of control you want, right? Because the overlays and you're setting people up in boxes and you might be titling them. You need to have like a lot of control over it. If you want to do something fancy like that.
I mean, the other thing is like you can do it manually. You can just crop the windows and like have people stay in the same spot. It just takes a lot more time.
Yeah, and so also I do want to say that you can. So we're talking about like doing something like a big high production. There's a lot of team members that are involved in doing this. You create all of these assets ahead of time, all these overlays. By assets, I mean the visual assets and that sort of thing. You can also do it with just audio. So, for example, Big Joel was just doing a charity stream that Casey and I were guests on briefly, and he was on camera, but he just brought in people through voice through Discord. So you didn't have to deal with any of that shit. It was just like come in through Discord, sit in a room, someone will bring you on onto the stream for a little bit. Yeah. So there are ways to do this sort of bigger or smaller. That don't really impact necessarily how much money you're going to raise because they did amazingly as well. Whether
I was gonna, and it's also like, I mean, I don't know. I think audio is so much simpler than video. As soon as you like add I think this is the rule for streams. Like anytime you add an element, it gets exponentially more complicated. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Like if you add technology, things are going to break. Which brings me to the next point that I wanted to make, which is fucking test extensively. I think we spent like 5 days doing all of this stuff, which is like not enough time, by the way, to like do like a huge fucking charity stream. But like we spent so much time just testing things, like testing the setups. Like we had a fucking run through before everything, before the stream went live, and it was a really important because everything breaks. Like anything that you're relying on to do something will not do the thing at the time you're relying on it for. I don't know if that was English. But yeah, Anita, did you have any like hiccups in your any tech hiccups in your charity stream? The most recent one, I guess.
So we also pulled ours together really quickly, and it's because we had professionals who knew what they were doing to help us get there. One of the things I was just thinking about is for Jackbox for us, the way that we actually did that is all of our guests came in through Skype, and we did the same kind of cascade as Bijan was talking about in terms of like we would have different Skype rooms for each segment, and then as the hosts we would pop in and out of rooms, and we had someone running the green room who was there to greet our guests, to say, hey, welcome, your camera's off, your mic's not working, whatever. So for the last segment that we did, which was Jackbox, the way that we actually did that was everyone was talking through Skype, but we were playing the game through Discord. So I had to teach all of those guests how to use Discord because most of them had never used it before. And so you had to like mute Discord and then, or you had to mute Discord but still hear Discord, and you had to have your Skype open so that was what was on camera. And there was one guest who couldn't get Discord to work. And it was like, within the like 5 minutes before we were supposed to go back on. And so our Johnny, our technical person who was running the show, ended up doing a screen share from his computer Discord into our Skype so the one guest could actually see what we were all playing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, I do love Discord. I have to say, like I've been using it a lot more. Shouts to everyone from my channel who's here right now. And Discord works remarkably well for everything that it does. However, it is confusing as all fuck. Yeah. So I don't know. I think again, like the technology is super, super important. I think that is actually so I wrote this in the first draft of my piece. But like you should figure out the technology before you figure out the charity you're raising money for, because like once you build, because I mean when Anita and I were talking about this before, like we had like a pre-interview or whatever. The thing is like my thought just disappeared. But you have to build the process before you do the process. So once you've like figured out the framework, the scaffolding of the stream, then you can like the tech scaffolding, then you can like stretch a skin over it, or I guess a canvas over it, and donate to charities. But yeah, I don't know. I think the technology is like, it's weirdly like the easiest and the hardest part, because it's like there's a set of discrete problems to fix, and they go like as soon as you get past them, then you're into like the stream itself. But again, like assembling and scaffolding is hard.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like, if you're getting new into this space or streaming for the first time, like streaming sucks, y'all. Like I'm just going to say like something always goes wrong. And it's one of those technologies that's like more of an art than it is a science. And so like just be prepared for things to go wrong. For us, I think with Bijan and I, we both were really lucky, and we had really good teams of people who knew what they were doing to like run the show for us. But I don't want you to feel discouraged from doing a charity stream because you don't have this whole team that can do this big production either, right? So the two things that I think I'm trying to say right now are, one, go with the flow. Shit happens. Be chill about it. Your audience is here with you. They're like, honestly, audiences kind of love the behind the scenes peek into like, yep, everything's crashing and dying right now. Sorry. We're going to sort this out. Give us a minute. They'll usually hang in there. You can have a BRB screen. Like I always have a BRB screen no matter when I'm streaming, just to throw up in case like something really goes down and I need to fix it. But you can do all the tests as you should, but just know things are going to happen. And you're just going to have to kind of go with the flow of that, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I do think streaming audiences are largely very forgiving. Because there's like a running joke on my channel where it's like, I troubleshoot. Like troubleshooting during the stream is a feature and not a bug. I think it's great. I think it keeps you humble. You're not a streamer until you troubleshoot your own stream while you're doing it with your audience. And it's like once you get through that, it's like it's very forgiving. You're like, oh yeah, like okay, I can do this. Like, they're not leaving. I'm not like failing. once you get past like, the sweating, the flop sweat and I don't blush, but you know what I mean.
So a couple other things that I think are worth mentioning is that one thing that makes a charity stream unique from regular streaming is that you are going to repeatedly ask people to give you money. And it's not you, obviously. I mean, sometimes it's me when we're doing charity streams. Not me. You know what I mean, everyone. But you're repeatedly asking for donations. And that's part of, I think, the importance here of like, you need to regularly check in. You need to celebrate the wins. Don't feel like you're ruining the show by stopping and acknowledging that. And people really like to be engaged with. So like, calling folks out who gave donations or who asked questions, like I think the whole point of doing something live is that you can actually interact with the audience. And I think the audience really appreciates being acknowledged and seen in that way as well. So I know some folks feel uncomfortable about like asking for money, but remember, you're asking for somewhat money for charities that are doing really great work. And I think that's and people do things when they're asked, and they don't do things when they're not asked usually.
True.
So I think that's important.
I did a beta test for our stream, and I called it the beta stream. And I set a goal for like $300 and we raised like $3,400, but I did have a screen that said, please donate money, with you can abuse OBS to do this, which is what I did. I made an MS Paint file and made it scroll so it was unignorable. Just like wild
amazing.
Font sizes. And like, it's one of those things where like, people don't do things unless you ask them to.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know, I feel like if it's charity
tips
stream,
for life.
Tips for life. You could just be fucking shameless, because it's like, who cares? This is not for me. I'm not saying like donate a shitload of money to me. I'm saying like, we're doing a thing together, and I'm donating and you're donating. We're doing it, and this is why we're doing it, because it's good for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, what we did was we didn't have fancy MS Paint, but we, so for example, what you're watching right now, we have this overlay and it's literally just a PNG file. And it's just slapped on top of my video. Right. And so it's to remind you where you are. It's to keep things branded for us and all of that. But on our stream, it just said donate and the URL. And so it was just on screen 24 hours the whole time. You could never pop into the stream without being reminded that we want you to donate, whether we're saying it or not. So, you can get all fancy or keep it simple. And I think that that's like a big takeaway here is like, there is a huge range of how much you can do with an event. Whether it's, just having, you could also not have guests. We keep talking about guests. I think it's nice to have guests. One of the reasons you do that is for variety, to like re-energize you, and also because you can bring their audience in as well, and they can bring more folks to your stream as well. So
yes, this is all about monetizing your audience.
I mean, that is what we are doing, a charity stream, right? But like that's what you are trying to do. So you're trying to maximize the audience. Yeah.
Maximize the audience.
So when you talked about making it an event, you talked about publicity. What does that mean?
Yes. Yeah. So one thing that was extremely special for the charity stream that I recently did was my partner, Olivia, who is also like, I brought her in to do design also, because that's her day job is as a designer. And I think making it feel special, like part of the promotion, part of the publicity aspect was creating a bunch of assets, or she created a bunch of assets to like, that were shareable across the internet. So like there was a specific stream branding. It was just like pink and purple, and it looked beautiful. And it was visually very grabbing, and also like, it was like she created these formats that were easy to share on like Instagram and Twitter, and like, we had the guest list and stuff. So there were a lot of assets that she created that we were like, that then I used to promote the stream on like my own social channels, because like, how else do you promote things these days, folks? And I think like doing the publicity is extremely important, because what you like, I guess ideally what you want to do is like promote something like every day for like a week. So it's like by the time you do it, people are ambiently aware that there's a thing going on at this specific date at this specific time. And I think there's like, I don't know, there's a lot, like, I feel like this is something that I feel is instinctive to people who grew up on the internet, like knowing how to promote something that you're doing. But it is something that you should approach with some intention. I don't know, I'm rambling, but like, you know what I mean? It's like I tweeted this thing like 4 different times in the 2 days leading up to it, because I was like, hey, I want people to be here and I want people to know that I'm serious about this, and that it will be a good time. But I don't know, how did you promote your stream?
Yeah, I know it's obnoxious, but I think what you said of like people who grew up on the internet just know how to do this now.
You kind of just like,
we promoted it. So our stream was a couple of things. It was Feminist Frequency's 11th anniversary, and so that was why we were doing the stream. It was also the very end of a large fundraising campaign that we were in the middle of. So it was a way to wind down the campaign or to finish up the campaign. So we promoted it within the ways that we were promoting the fundraiser in general. We sent out newsletters to our lists reminding folks that we were doing this event, and then all over our social media. And then I think actually this could lead back into a conversation about guests a little bit. And what you were saying is that when we brought guests on, and if folks are interested, I can talk more about like how do you get guests and what is the work that you need to do to manage that whole process. Then we provided those guests with assets as well. So with like, the Instagram like square shaped or the longer rectangular shapes for images for Twitter, just things that are unique to those different platforms, tagging guests into tweets that they can repost themselves and encouraging them to share as well. So that's another big piece of it. I went back and went through, so peer-to-peer fundraising is something where it's an individual that is not necessarily affiliated with an organization raising money for that organization. So for example, we used GiveButter, and on GiveButter, you could, like Bijan, you could create on a fundraising page on our campaign, and we can see exactly how much you've raised, and you send people to your link that's specific, right? I hope that makes sense. So I then reached out to all of the people who had done peer-to-peer fundraising for our campaign that were invested in our campaign succeeding and saying, hey, we're doing this 7-hour live stream. Can you help promote it? Here are some tools. So I think one of the things to really drive home is that other people can do some of this work for you, and that's kind of essential to getting the word out. So giving them as much as you can to make it as easy as possible for folks. Like I'll say Feminist Frequency gets requests to share things all the time. And sometimes they're like these huge, long essays of like, this is why we're doing the project and da-da-da-da-da. And sometimes I'm like, can you just give me a tweet to retweet? Right? Like, I'm happy to do that. I just want to hit like retweet. Yeah. So keeping it simple for folks. Your guests are probably busy and have other things going on in their lives, so keeping it simple for them, I think, is critical. So
and also like a retweet is free.
A retweet is free, And we're in a social media time where people are not as open to sharing and as like. That's not what I want to say. That's a whole nother conversation. Let's just table that. I'm just gonna stop right there and be awkward. It's fine. I think that people can be a little stingy with their social media these days, and I have a lot of reasons why. And so like keeping it simple, keeping it focused, keeping it directed, I think is really, really valuable. Should we talk about guests? Do people want us? Should we do you?
I think guests. This is an easy segment, right? You ask people that and ask the most famous people a cool way to do this is a cool way to do this. And also, I mean, like, obviously they have to be cool and like nice, but if you're like mutuals online, like, it's nice. But it's always better to like have a bunch of people doing a thing, because it's like, oh, it's a signal to other people that, hey, this is a serious thing. We're doing an event, we're doing a thing, we're doing it together, and you should be here. And thinking of it that way instead of like thinking about their audiences is healthier for you and for your stream.
Well,
but also,
I mean, I think that part of what you're getting at is like you want like a good balance on your stream in terms of like personability, like familiarity, ability to like play nicely with the other people on the stream as well. So like, like no joke, you definitely want people with the biggest audiences, but at the same time, those might not be the people like. I don't want a bunch of white dudes on my stream. Like that was a thing that came up with Feminist Frequency, where I was like, we can't celebrate Feminist Frequency's 11th anniversary with a bunch of white dudes that have big audiences that would be happy to be on, right? So for me, it was really important to have bring in the people who like made a difference for our organization and who like are important to this industry and doing that kind of work. And also like picking what games they would be good at, what they would be enjoyable. Like I felt like I was planning a wedding a little bit in terms of like who would get along with who, right?
Yeah. And I do think like the other thing to remember is like people who have big audiences don't necessarily have the most engaged audiences. And you want people who have very engaged audiences on the platform that you're using. So for charity streaming, you don't necessarily want to go to like a very famous person. You might want like somebody who's like bigger on Twitch, because like that's the platform that you're using to raise money, because that ensures that a lot of people who might not have otherwise seen this thing would come to your stream. So like I don't know, like getting other streamers is like, if you're doing a charity stream, getting other streamers specifically to be on your stream is very helpful, because like also like I don't know, this is sort of we're in sort of an esoteric realm. Like Twitch itself is already like sort of difficult to understand and use in a lot of ways. Like it's not easy to stream. It's like fun to be a viewer, but it's also not the easiest platform to engage on. And so I think, like getting people who are already on the platform to come to your thing that is happening on the platform is very important.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I've seen this stuff, like I've seen charity streams, a lot of them on like Instagram Live, which is again like a whole other can of fucking worms. But but I think if you're using Twitch, meet the people where they are, or bring the people in from where they are.
Yeah, and like we both did ours on Twitch, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best place for your organization to do your stream. So a little bit of practicality here. You figure out who you want to ask.
Sorry. Yeah.
No sorries. I think that's important. And then you have to ask them. So like you ask them, you say it's this date, are you available, such and such. And then you have to actually like be a producer and like do that work of like managing, organizing, make sure you remind them ahead of time, give them whatever information they need to know in terms of like what they're going to be expected to do, like who they're doing it with, what time they need to show up, how they need to show up. Like there are a lot of technical pieces that can come into play, and you want to make sure that folks are very clear on when to show up and how to show up and what that's going to look like. I pad my times for people when I expect them to be in the green room. I do this all the time because people are notoriously late, and you don't want someone to be late for something that's live. So like add 10 minutes to whatever time you want them to show up, because something will come about. But yeah, you're gonna have to send reminder emails, and you're gonna have to like herd cats a little bit for that. So keep that in mind. You could do something like again, I was in this stream that was a Discord, and they just created a big Discord channel with all of their friends and was like, who's available right now? And so there was the main streamer, and then there were a couple of people who were just always there that were streaming with them, that were like, production helping, but they were also on voice chat. And so when there was a lull, there was at least 3 people. And when there were like folks in the chat, it was like, hey, I'm available. And you would just pop them onto the stream. So it's a lot less organized and a lot less formal.
That is chaotic as all hell. Yeah. Also, we have Cypher of Tyr just subscribed. Also, Cypher ran an incredible charity stream.
Oh yeah,
recently.
Yeah.
I think raised was more than $100,000. I tuned in. I was like, hell yeah, yeah. No, yeah. I was just like, hey, that's a great stream. I was there for a little bit. It's like, this is great.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Welcome.
There is a question that I want to bring in. Team Toadhouse says, how do you feel about ongoing fundraising instead of an event? For example, a portion of the profits of games sold by a studio goes to XYZ. Do you find those more or less successful for the cause you're raising for? I will take that question.
Please take that question.
What I'll say is that when you are fundraising for a nonprofit, the goal is to have a diversity of sources, right? So if your entire nonprofit is predicated on like a couple of rich people, one day they might decide they don't want to give you money anymore, and you're just screwed. And so like having a variety of like like these charity stream fundraisers, having profits of a game sold going to charity is great, right? Like those are, and it also can build awareness for that charity and the work that they're doing. So I would say that those are like equally successful. It's also a lot less work for the charity, in a lot of ways, because it's sort of passive income. But you might be able to, like if you work at a studio, as we're launching this hotline, which is hopefully happening soon, I'm thinking about what studios and publishers we can have events with, right? We can have live streams with to help promote our hotline to their audience. So there are ways that we can connect and do more. It's not just about raising money. It's about building audience. It's about getting people aware of the work that's being done and all of that. So, so yeah, I think that they're like equally great and they're just different. And I think having a lot of different ways of raising money and supporting folks is really helpful.
I do want to say, I think anecdotally, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Anita, but I think charities and nonprofits prefer like ongoing donations as opposed to like one-time things, because then you like have a consistent revenue stream that you can sort of count on, which is I guess why all of the bail funds that are overfunded are like, oh shit, what do we do with this money? We have so much, but like it's not necessarily going to last, and they have to develop a plan to use it sustainably. So yeah, I think that is, I mean, like that is the ideal, is like getting people to tithe parts of their like revenue streams to organizations that are doing good work.
Oh, totally. I mean, recurring donations are the best, right? Because you just, like you can count on it to some degree, right? Like, you know that you're going to get X amount per month, and then that's also easy for folks who can factor into their charitable giving for the year, where it just happens, right? It's not like you have to go in every month or every, whenever you're doing it. So absolutely. I will say that, like, I think that getting a massive influx of cash as a charity, it comes with its own issues. So like all of the charities that go through that, whenever there is a huge crisis that's happening, like they have to manage that and like bring on staff and then sustainability. So there are things like, so there are issues around some of that, but that is a good problem to have,
Yeah. There are two kinds of problems, good ones and bad ones. Yeah. I do think one other thing that I do want to shout out is donation thermometers.
Yes.
Tell the people where they are, because like having, I think like gamers specifically, I mean, people like this, but gamers specifically like to see numbers go up and get bigger, and like having that part on your stream, like a bar or whatever, just showing how far or close you are to a goal is incredibly good. I don't know, on my stream, I think I set my first goal at $400, and I was like, you know what? I don't ever want to count on like raising that much money. You know what I mean? Because like nobody has to donate. Like, we're doing a thing, but like it's not like required that you spend money on it, right? And it was incredible, because like before the stream even started, we had crossed $400, and it was like one of those things where like I would like during breaks, the chat apparently was talking to themselves like, hey, we need to hit this goal before they come back, and like that stuff just kept happening. It was great. I was like,
yeah.
And by the end, I read this in the piece, but by the end I felt like I was like just like conducting a stream. Like it was like the audience was doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do. Like almost it was beautiful, because it was like almost they were there. It was almost like they were disregarding what was going on with like us and the guests. And they had their own thing that they were doing. But yeah, the thermometer I think helped with that, because it showed, we had to reset the goals like 4 or 5 times. Because and it like I remember we reset it to $20,000, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, like that we're never gonna hit that. And then like 30 minutes later or whatever, we did. But yeah, that's stuff. It's like, it's really cool.
Okay, so how does one get a thermometer on their stream?
This was the hard part.
You knew I was going to ask you that, because we did not have a thermometer on our stream for a reason.
Yeah. We had one.
I will say, sorry, before you answer that question, I will say that it's not just gamers that like thermometers. It is like a tried and true fundraising tactic. Everybody loves to see the progress that is made.
Also, we're just doing telethons. Like, that's what it is. It's telethons, but for the digital age. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. So we like the thermometer was actually incredibly hard. Olivia designed a page. We linked it to an Airtable, so like people could submit their donation receipts there, and then mods would approve it. But like that designing the thermometer took like 2 programmers separately, like doing time, like at least a couple hours of programming time to like make everything look like work. And it was great when it happened, and I was glad I just like had to coordinate some people who did the work. So I don't actually know how they made it.
Yeah,
but like
I feel like I wish we had an easier suggestion for folks around thermometers.
Well, the easy suggestion is Tiltify has them, Streamlabs has them. You can like it's like you can and also like you don't actually need necessarily a thermometer. You can like shout out the goal in chat with commands. And like you know, you can have your mods posting in chat or whatever. Like people will see the money that's being raised and like let you know how close or how far you are away from the goal. But like a thermometer is nice to have if you know, if you have the programming resources and the time, or just using Tiltify.
So the answer is thermometers are hard to find unless you're using Tiltify to integrate into your stream, unless you actually have someone to code it for you. But you can, like, you know, the donate page that you're sending people to could have that thermometer as well. And you're shouting it out on stream. Can you, you brought up bots a couple of times and chat commands, just for folks who might not be familiar with those. Can you talk about like what that is, what those platforms are?
Yeah. So if you see Nightbot in the chat right now, that is a chat bot. Nightbot is one of the, like, it's a programmable bot that can do auto modding. It can do and these chat commands are these custom commands that you can write yourself that when invoked with like an exclamation point, usually the bot does something. So like it's a good way to like answer recurring questions about, like, for example, where to donate. So you'd have like exclamation point donate, and if you type in the chat, it would pop up like the list of resources and the places that you want people to send their money. And I think like using bots effectively is actually very important for a charity stream, because like it means it frees you up to like focus on the stream itself and like doing the thing that you're doing, as opposed to like answering the same question in chat every time it comes up. So yeah, I think that's like one way to think about bots.
And you're not programming anything like with Nightbot.
No.
Yeah, just FYI, like with Nightbot, and MooBot's another one that does this kind of thing. You just go in and you type what you want it to say and the frequency in which you want it to pop up as well. So it can be pretty simple for folks who are new to it. It also, you know, there's other features and stuff. So if you are streaming, I recommend checking out one of those to help. There's a Cypher has a question that I don't, just going to pop it up. How do you deal with the people who are mad about this charity has too much money thing that happens? I'm guessing that happened to you during your stream. My answer is fuck off. Like, you know, I don't know what to say about that. I don't know if you have any thoughts around that.
I was gonna say cough cough St. Jude's as a joke, but I think also just fuck it. Who cares? Like, those are trolls.
Yeah, and also like if you think that, then just pick a different charity that you want to help raise money for. You know, one of the things that I think we were talking about is that all these bail funds got a lot of money, and like, what's the next step? So can we raise money for like legal aid that people are going to need after bail, right? And so like, you know, introducing that into the conversation and raising money for those folks potentially is one way. But also like, jerks are going to be jerks, I guess. I don't know. You don't usually say defeat a shit like that, but.
Yeah. And Cypher is pointing out that happened a week after the stream. Someone was big mad we raised so much money for Bail Project because they were founded with so much money. Yeah, which, you know, like, I don't know, fuck them.
Yeah, also, like, I will say, too, like, be sure to research the charities that, and this has nothing to do with Bail Project or Cypher's stream, but research the charities. Like, there are... To be a 501c3 means that there's a lot of transparency in place. So you can see tax returns, you can see, you know, the board of directors. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you can check out with organizations, and like what are their values and their mission, and what are they doing with it? They're usually annual reports. There's lots of stuff that you can do to make sure that you believe in what the work is that charity is doing as well. So I do recommend doing that research.
And it is your responsibility as a broadcaster to like be very sure about where you're telling people to donate their money, because like that's maybe the most important thing, because you need to be very clear on what you're asking people to do, and very clear on like this sort of goes back to the thing, if you're collecting donations yourself and then donating to a charity, like, you have to be accountable for all that money. You have to be accountable for the charity that you're picking, and you like it. And I guess that's the main responsibility that you have as a streamer who's doing a charity stream.
Yeah, totally. All right, I think we covered a lot of things.
A lot of ground there.
Yeah. If y'all are doing charity streams, let us know. And if you have any other questions, you can hit us up about that. I love talking about this kind of nerdy stuff. So, and this is your job.
Yeah, it is my job. I do want to say one more thing. It's like, you should after your charity stream, rest the fuck up, take some time off, because it is so like I didn't stream for like a week after it. I was just like, I'm done. Like, ugh. I'm done with streaming. It's so tiring.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about the prep. Like, try to be rested. Feel it's an endurance test to some degree. You're performing. Like, being on camera for a long time, it takes a lot out of you, even if you think it's chill. Drink a lot of water, build in breaks.
Yes,
I think we talked about that. Like, you can build in breaks. The way that we did it on our stream is I had pre-recorded videos that we put in during those breaks so that there was still something happening on the stream if people popped in those moments, but I could like go pee and shove pizza in my face or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know, like if you're streaming for a long time, you're going to need nourishment and water and stuff like that. So
also try night coffee.
Oh boy. And yeah, also like don't expect to do anything the next day.
Yeah. No, I was fucking wiped. And so was everyone who worked on the stream.
Yeah.
But that, I mean, like, I don't know, like once you put everything that you have into something and it like goes well, it feels really, really good.
It really does. It really
This is what sports boys are saying when they say leave it all on the court. You just leave it all on the court.
Okay. With that note, thanks so much for coming and chatting with me about this. This was fun.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Loved the chat.
Where can folks find out more about you?
Yeah, so I'm online. I don't know if you knew that, but my name is Bijan Stephen. Hello, and if you like, I'm on Twitch. Follow me there. On Twitter, follow me there. Also on Instagram, but you're gonna have to Google for that one because that one's a little. It's Bijan Cakes. But I don't. I mean, so look, it's the internet. Man. You can find me if you like Google me, you'll find me. It's very easy.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Bye.
I always love talking to you, Anita.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for joining us this week to talk about charity live streaming. And thanks to all of our mods for keeping this space friendly. We love you. Thank you for showing up. And you can check out these videos anytime at the Games Hotline YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/gameshotline. You can take all of these skills that you just learned and charity stream for us, the Games Hotline. We are an upcoming emotional resource for people who make and play games, and we will be on Tiltify soon. I'm working on that. So we can make it as easy as possible for you to do that. And you can also donate or chip in a little bit if you want to help us keep this resource free for everyone at gameshotline.org/donate. Join me next week when we talk to Ellen Powell about what comprehensive inclusion and accountability can look like in the tech world. Thanks, everyone. Bye.